Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Elliot Parker, and I wanted to take a moment to say hello to you and to welcome you to Writing 101, First Year Writing 1, and welcome you to our online class here in the Blackboard Course Management System. I wanted to take a moment to first introduce myself and to let you know that there actually is another human being on the other side of the computer that will be working with you and interacting with you over the course of the semester. And I wanted to sort of alleviate those fears at the beginning that there is going to be someone here that you'll actually be talking to and working with that is another human being. And I wanted to welcome you to the class and let you know that I'm really excited about having you in class this semester, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Before I talk for just a couple minutes about myself, give you a little background on me, and talk about what we're going to be doing in class this semester, let me just say one thing about the class, because this is an online class, and I know for a lot of you, you may be a little bit nervous or apprehensive about how this is going to work. How does taking an English class online happen, and how is it going to work, and how is it all going to function? Well, let me first say, if you have those fears and those concerns, that's totally natural and that's totally to be expected. I will say, though, that this will take a week or two to kind of get used to, but I have tried my very best to make the class as user-friendly as possible and to make using Blackboard and finding content related to the class in our Blackboard course management shell page as easy as possible. But it still will take you kind of a week or two to kind of get familiar with Blackboard. I can say as a tool that you'll be using Blackboard in a lot of your classes, not just this semester, but going forward in your courses and in your program of study here at Ole Miss. Blackboard will be a heavily involved component in your academic learning over the course of your career at the university. So it's a good idea to kind of get familiar with it, and this is a good place to start in doing so. But I also wanted to make one quick point and one quick announcement related to that, and really the course in general. Even though we don't see each other face to face regularly, please reach out to me and please let me know if you have any questions or concerns about the class. If technology's not working correctly, or you can't find something or can't locate something related to the class, please let me know. Please let me know also if you're struggling. If you're struggling with kind of adapting to the online environment, if we're talking about something in class or working on something in our class for the week and it's not making sense, or you don't really understand what's going on, please reach out to me and let me know. Because I don't see you guys face to face, if I don't hear from you and you don't reach out to me and let me know that something's going on or that you're having trouble or that you need help, then I just assume everything is okay, and I just assume everything's going smoothly and that you're not having any issues. So if you are struggling, if you do have questions, if you do need help, please feel free to reach out to me. All of my contact information is in the syllabus, which you'll find more once you get into the course and start going through the first module that is due. You'll find all that information. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me. It's not a bother. You're not bothering me. You're not annoying me in any way. That's what I'm here for. So please feel free to reach out to me if you're struggling or if you have questions or concerns. It's probably also a good idea to reach out to me earlier rather than later, in terms of if you're struggling with something or you're having problems using Blackboard, or technology in some way is not cooperating. It's better to reach out to me earlier than later on, after maybe an assignment has been missed or something has happened that's caused you to fall behind in the class. It's easier to take care of those problems early on than later on. So just keep that in mind. So I wanted to take a few minutes moving forward just to talk to you a little bit about me, talk to you a little bit about the class, what we're going to be doing this semester, and where we're going to be headed with the material and the information and the content. This is one of my favorite classes to teach, Writing 101, because I feel like what we talk about and the skills that we develop and work on this semester will help you not just this semester in your courses, but it will help you in the spring, it will help you in the summer, it'll help you next year and beyond as you go through your program of study and as you continue to climb the ladder academically here at Ole Miss. A lot of things that we do and talk about and skills that we practice will help you be successful. So I think it's a really good launching point for that. And I also think it kind of helps you as you guys start thinking about internships and clinicals related to your major, and you start thinking about transitioning to the work world in a few years. I think a lot of what we talk about and deal with will help you in that regard as well. So it serves kind of two purposes: helps you with the academic side, not only this year, but moving forward, and also get you ready for some pretty good workplace skills that will make you a marketable employer to someone in the future. So I wanted to just take a moment and to share my screen and just go over a little bit of information with you. So my face is going to kind of disappear, and you can probably see that I have sort of bounced over here to the right-hand side of the screen. And I just wanted to go through a quick PowerPoint just to talk to you for a minute about the class and kind of where we're headed and some of the things that we're going to be working on this semester. So our class is Writing 101. This is the first composition class sequence here at Ole Miss, here in the Department of Writing and Rhetoric, where Writing 101 is housed and where I work. And there's my name if you need to file that away for safekeeping somewhere else. But just a little bit about me, sort of my background and how I came to Ole Miss. I was a journalist and I worked in journalism for a number of years prior to being in education and being a college professor. I'm from West Virginia originally. So I grew up in Appalachia, right in the heart of Appalachia. I got my degrees from Marshall University, my bachelor's degree in journalism there, my MFA in creative writing at Eastern Kentucky University, and then I got my doctorate in English at Murray State University. My career as a journalist started for a company called Tri-Cities Broadcasting and Tri-Cities Media in Bristol, Virginia. I worked there for a number of years, and some of my responsibilities there were to be the staff writer, and I did some on-air work as well. So I wrote contracts, I wrote sales proposals, I wrote advertising copy for the station and for the company. And also did some on-air work as well, doing some voiceover work and doing some DJ work and some sports work and those kinds of things to fill in when those areas were needed. So after that, I transitioned away and sort of changed careers midway through my life and decided to go into teaching and kind of fell into teaching in higher education by teaching an adjunct, a part-time class once. Back all the way in 2004, I believe it was my very first one, and fell in love with teaching, fell in love with working with students, and really realized that that was my true calling, and that was what I was probably meant to do, more so than being a writer and a journalist. My teaching career, I have taught at Marshall University, where I got my bachelor's degree. I've taught there for 3 years. I taught at Mount West Community and Technical College for 10 years, and I've been at Ole Miss now since 2018. So that kind of gives you some background on my teaching experience and where I've come from. I have one nephew. He lives in South Carolina. So my brother and sister-in-law, he belongs to them. And so I enjoy getting to spend time with him and getting to watch him grow up, and also spending time with my brother and sister-in-law. My favorite food is Italian. So if you have some really good Italian recipes, or someone in your family cooks Italian food really well, or maybe you're Italian yourself, let's talk, because I love Italian food. I'd eat it every day until I was 800 pounds if nobody would stop me. So it's one of my favorite foods. I have 2 cats, Buddy and Layla. They're in the picture right over here to the right. Layla is the gray cat that is standing on the carpet in the back. She will be 15 in October, this coming October. And Buddy is the orange cat. He will be 8 in January. So both of these cats were strays. They showed up at my house. I'm fairly certain they got dropped off and just sort of left to fend for themselves. And both of them wound up on my front door, on my front porch at my front door, looking for a home. And so I adopted them, and they're really great. If you haven't had kitty cats, you're really missing out. Life is so much better with kitty cats, and they're really great. And it's really a joy to have them as a part of my life. And something else to point out is that I'm a stutterer. Maybe that connects to you. Maybe you know someone who is, or have had experience with that. I can tell you that it's gotten better as I've gotten older. But one of the best things that has helped me overcome that is having to speak in front of people for a living, either in my career as a journalist or now in my career as a college professor. Because when you have to stand in front of people and talk and articulate thoughts and communicate ideas, you don't really have time to think about, oh, I'm going to stutter here in a minute if I'm not careful. So it is something that I struggle with. It is something that I still have to manage. The more tired I get at the end of the day, the more it kind of comes out. But having to sort of speak in front of people and talk to people on a day-to-day basis has really helped me overcome that. So that just gives you a little bit of background information about me, kind of my education, where I'm from, how I got to Ole Miss, and just a few other things about me. So I mentioned this a moment ago. Why is Writing 101 important? Just keep in mind this, and we're going to talk about language, and we're going to talk about word choice, and we're going to talk about sentences and paragraphs and essays and all of this. But it really comes down to language is how we communicate. And if you think about our world today, our world is driven by language, and it's driven by what we call informational text. And that includes things like text messages. That includes things like emails. That includes things like books that you read, either for class or for fun, or information that you are absorbing from a website or from some other content provider. All of that is considered informational text. And really about 90% of the words that we use, the language that we use across those platforms every day, help us to communicate. And oftentimes we want a response from someone through that communication. Hey, for example, what time do you want to eat dinner? Where do you want to go? By the way, I've got the tickets today. The game's at 7. I'll pick you up at 6:30. All those kinds of messages and communications, for example, are ways that we are trying to tell someone something, tell someone about what has happened. It also set up expectations for what we need or want them to do. So all that falls into this idea of language. And that's really where our writing comes from, is those building blocks of language. And one of the things that we're going to work on over the course of the semester is really how to compose different kinds of writing, both that will help you be successful in college and in the professional world. We're going to look at examples and sample texts, both those written by your classmates as well as those written by authors in a variety of different platforms. And then we'll be responding to your classmates' writing, your classmates' thoughts, as well as some of the thoughts from those other people and other authors as well. And so I want you to hopefully, by the time you leave the class, and hopefully as we move through the semester, you'll be able and you'll feel comfortable and confident in interacting with other people's writing and other people's words and reacting and responding to that with your own word choice in your own language. That's one of my goals, and that's something that I hope we'll be able to accomplish successfully together as we complete the semester. So how are we going to get there? What are we going to be doing in Writing 101? Well, certainly we want to talk about grammar and writing conventions, and we'll talk a little bit about that early in the semester. This is not a grammar class, so we are not going to be having grammar lessons every week. We're not going to be filling out grammar worksheets and all of those other things. But we do need to talk about grammar and some of the building blocks and some of the building blocks of grammar and how that helps, but also some of the mistakes that a lot of writers make with writing and grammar conventions. And I'll have another video lecture later on in the class that'll talk about why grammar is important and why we need to pay close attention to it, and that it is so much more than memorizing rules and filling out worksheets. But we do need to spend some time addressing that and thinking about how that's an important component of the way we write and the way we communicate. We're going to talk about the writing process and how this impacts everything that we do when we read, when we interpret text, and then when we write and respond to it. We're going to compose 4 well-developed and well-supported essays over the course of the semester between now and the end of the term. That'll be different in style and different in technique, but they'll pull together a lot of the concepts and issues that we discuss in class. We are going to reflect, as I mentioned, and respond to different types of writing, both from your classmates and from ourselves, and then from others as well. That'll connect back to the themes that we're going to be talking about this semester, as well as some of the other topics as it relates to grammar and language and those other concepts that I just mentioned. And we're also going to talk a little bit about how technology has influenced the way that we write. We do need to acknowledge that technology is changing, and as people who are engaging with language and writing and engaging with this technology every day, we have to adapt and be prepared to make those modifications and kind of adapt and change with the technology. So we'll talk a little bit off and on about that and how that's kind of impacting the way that we communicate. So we'll have some shorter and longer writing assignments that will feed into those essays. So the class very much structures as a scaffold. You know, we'll introduce some concepts, we'll do some smaller, more informal writing assignments that scaffold our way up to the big essays that are due, or to the longer writing assignments, which culminate into the essays. We'll have some rough draft workshops. You'll have a chance to work with our staff in the Writing Center to get some feedback on the rough drafts of your work, as well as feedback from your classmates and from myself when we get to those points, and I'll have more to say about that later in the class. We'll have some weekly informal writing. These will be low stakes writing assignments, just opportunities for you to kind of respond and reflect and give your opinion and think about what it is that you're reading and what you like and what you don't like and what is speaking to you or not speaking to you or confusing you in some way. You'll have a chance to do that over the course of the semester as well. And you'll be working it sometimes individually by yourself, and sometimes you'll be working in cooperative learning groups. In Blackboard with an online class, primarily that is done through discussion boards, and we'll talk more about that, and you'll have a chance to kind of experiment with that a little bit later on. So how can you be successful? Well, the first thing is come to class. And I know that we are in an online class setup, but the easiest way to fall behind and the easiest way to get lost and to struggle in an online class is not to check in and not to stay on top of your module work. You will find that the class is broken up into modules. Each module is due at the end of the week. And all of your assignments, your readings, your responses, your reflections, your interactions are all contained within those weekly modules. So if you don't come to class by checking in every day or checking in several times a week and working through those module assignments, it's easy to fall behind. Also maintain a positive attitude. Some of the things that we do and talk about in class this semester are going to come easy to you just like that. Some of them are going to be a little bit more difficult. But when they become difficult, that's when you want to not give up, not get frustrated. Let me know if you need some help. Work with the folks in the Writing Center when we get to that point. Talk to your classmates. Work together in those environments when necessary. But don't get frustrated and don't give up and don't get too upset with yourself if you can't pick up on something that we're doing right away. That's part of learning. Learning is challenging and learning can be difficult, and learning can sometimes really strain our brains as we're trying to wrap our mind around certain things. And so if you are struggling or something doesn't come to you easily, it doesn't mean you're stupid. It doesn't mean you're a bad writer. It doesn't mean you're never going to get this or whatever it is that we're doing or that or whatever. But it just means that it's going to take you a little bit more time and a little bit more effort. And that should be expected. And that's totally natural. That's a totally logical thing to have happen. And do your best. Make sure that everything that you do over the course of the semester, that you're putting in your best effort. As I mentioned earlier, if you don't understand something or you need help, please let me know. Don't suffer in silence. Reach out and let me know that you're struggling or that you need help so that we can get those questions resolved. And we'll talk more about this as we get into the discussion boards. But one of the things we're not going to do is make fun of one another, tease and taunt and humiliate one another in this online class environment. It just won't be tolerated. If that's kind of how you like to roll and that's your MO and how you kind of relate to people as classmates, then you probably want to find another online section of this class, because we're here to learn from each other. We're here to grow together. We're here to celebrate our successes and work on our struggles as a group. And we're just not going to make fun of or tear anyone down because they may have a different opinion than us, they may view something different than us, or they may be a little slower to catch up to what we're doing than maybe we are, or maybe my group is, or whatever. We're not going to fool with that, and we're just not going to tolerate that. So I want to keep that really at the forefront of what we do as well. That this is a place, a safe space for learning and for trying new things and for experiencing successes and challenges as they come along. So that's going to allow me to stop sharing my screen at the moment and bring myself back into full picture. That's really all I wanted to say right now in this introductory video lecture about the class, about Writing 101. But again, please reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. If you run into trouble using Blackboard, let me know. Again, all of my contact information will be in the syllabus. I sent out some instructions via email last week that kind of show you how to get into and find our class Blackboard page and where to find the first module that is due on Friday, where to find the syllabus and all of that information. So work through those steps, check that email, read through that email and follow those steps. If for some reason they don't make sense or you're stuck or you're having trouble, please let me know and I'd be happy to talk to you on Zoom, happy to have a phone conversation, or we can talk through email and I can get you sort of squared away on where you need to be. So again, welcome to Writing 101. Really glad to have you in class this semester. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. And I'm going to sign off for now, and I'll see you back inside of Blackboard very soon.